Good evening and welcome to episode 130 of the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Howard Kravitz. Thanks for joining me tonight on what should be a very exciting and a different show as well. I know that we have a lot of new listeners and viewers. Thanks so much if you're a first time viewer and listener of the HHH Racing Podcast. The first thing you folks need to do is make sure you hit that subscribe button down there on the bottom right hand side of the screen. Now, because of some exciting stuff that happened this past weekend, my subscriptions have gone way up. If you're one of those people that has recently subscribed, thank you so much. The main goal, and the goal of a lot of people that are on YouTube, is to get to 1,000 subscribers on their channel. That is a big goal for people that just start their channel. We are so close. We are about 930. So what I need you folks to do right now, whether you have subscribed or not, tell all your friends, go on to YouTube, go to the search bar and type in HHH Racing Podcast and subscribe. It costs you no money at all. You're not going to get any crazy spam messages. I won't be sending you emails all the time. Tell your neighbors, tell your friends, tell anyone who enjoys horse racing. Just go ahead and subscribe to the HHH Racing Podcast. If you own a business or you have a lot of people at work, put out a memo, say, go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. And if they ask why, tell them, because I'm your boss and I told you to subscribe. So anyway, let's spread the word, folks. If you're new to the channel, again, welcome. I think you're really going to enjoy the experience. We're going to have a lot of people chatting tonight in the live chat, and they'll tell you all about it. Speaking of the live chat, there is a live chat. Make sure you comment on the top right-hand side of the screen of the YouTube channel, and you can type in comments. We already have one comment from someone new, Mr. MXYZPTLK. Welcome to the show. You are new. We're going to have a lot of new people, I'm sure, to the show. So please make sure you join the live chat. Also, down below the video player there, let me go ahead and take off the comment here. Down below the video player, please make sure you smash that thumbs up button. That is an indicator that'll tell YouTube that this is a fun, exciting channel to watch. So when people type in horse racing in the search bar, my channel will be one of the first places they can show. So please make sure you hit that thumbs up, that like button, and then also hit the notification bell. That'll tell you when new content will arise. So please help me out. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, I want to talk about a few promos I have on the show. If you are very familiar with the show, bear with me because I'm expecting a big push based on what happened this weekend, and the numbers are already very high. So if you're not familiar with the show, or if you're a first-time listener or viewer, below the video player, if you click the Show More button, I have 3 promos I'd like to quickly talk about. I have a race day blog. It's an excellent weekly blog. It comes out on Saturdays. It's very inexpensive. You can see on the screen there. I do it through Patreon. It is only $3 a Saturday. I give price plays, spot plays, ABC grids, pick 4s, pick 5s, things I do not talk about on the show. It's a great deal. However, please listen carefully, especially if you're new to the show. My third party that I use, Patreon, which is a great website, they will automatically charge you on the first of the month. So if you're interested in my race day blog, I would wait until May 1st. Wait until, Sunday of this week to subscribe to the race day blog. Otherwise, you'll be charged an additional $12.99. So starting this Sunday, if you are not familiar with the race day blog, go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and check it out. I really think you'll enjoy it. It's only $12.99. If you are part of the race day blog and you're watching right now, please comment right now on that live chat and tell people that are new to the show how excellent the race day blog is. Currently, my ROI is fantastic. I gave out Awesome Jerry at 20-1 last week at Keeneland on the blog. We've had many scores. So again, the race day blog, highly recommend you join. We got Dean G. Dean is a longtime viewer. Dean, thanks for joining the show. William Anderson. William, thanks for joining the show. I really appreciate it. Again, we have a lot of people watching. Highly uh, enjoy everyone's comments. The next promo I'd like to talk about, again, this is below the video player. I have a deal with BetUS. BetUS is a fantastic betting site. They offer up to 200 games a day with live betting, each game between 300 and 400 different props to bet on. With a fast and easy to use interface, BetUS Live betting platform ensures that your bet is made quickly and will ensure you hit the odds available at that time. With mobile live betting available, there's no better way to enjoy the game today. BetUS, and all you have to do, and again, more information below the video player. If you make a deposit using your credit card, you have to use your credit card, and I believe it has to be $50 or more using your credit card. There is a promo code down below the video player. If you use that promo code, you will get a free, and I've done it, this is legitimate, a free 125% of your free bets. Last month, I deposited $200, and I had free $250 play. I played some golf. I played some NBA, soccer, whatever you like. What's wrong with getting free 125% of your bets? It's fantastic. You can bet horse racing on there also, casino. Again, BetUS, use the promo code that's down below the video player. Click that show more button. You can hear more about that. Last promo. This is very exciting. I have a podcast pool. We're in the middle of pool 3. It starts the beginning of each month. And even if you are an experienced podcast pool player, if you're playing right now, look at the bottom of the screen there. We are going to have a special bet on Derby Day. On the Kentucky Derby, are you ready? Hold on to your seats. We are going to be playing a group superfecta. The superfectas on Derby Day, the Kentucky Derby superfecta can pay $100,000. We're going to smash it. If you're interested in playing the Kentucky Derby HHH Racing Podcast Superfecta Bet, it's going to be a group ticket. I'll talk much more about it this week and next week. You need to be a part of the podcast pool. If you have no idea what the podcast pool is, please email me. You can see below there on the scroll. It'll keep scrolling. Email me, hkravitzhorse. It'll be coming up here on the scroll in just a minute. hkravitzhorse@gmail.com. And just email me, say you're interested in the podcast pool. I will send you information about it. If you want to be a part of our Kentucky Derby Superfecta Bet, you must be a member of the podcast pool. So again, I'm very excited about that. I already have a superfecta in mind, even though there's a long way to go. So please make sure you email me if you're interested in the podcast pool and therefore the $1 superfecta on the Kentucky Derby. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter as well. You can see that on my name tag at HKravitz. Alrighty, so that's all the administrative things that I wanted to get through. Got some more people commenting. Let's see who's here. Ralph, thank you, Ralph. Appreciate it. We're going to be talking about Keeneland here in just a minute. William wants to know what they charge with withdrawals. So what happens, William? I don't want to get into a lot of details. I can send it to you. You basically just use PayPal. And I don't believe you get charged anything. It costs $12.99. I believe that's what you pay. I don't personally take anything out of it. So, again, go ahead and send me an email, and I'll send you information about that, William. Tom Espinoza. Tom, how are you? From San Francisco. Appreciate Tom being on the show. Dean loves superfectas. Dean, I believe Dean's a part of the podcast pool, but if you're not Dean, make sure you are next month because we're going to be playing a big $1 superfecta on Derby Day and try to crush it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to talk about tonight. This show tonight is going to be a little bit different than my other shows. First of all, it's going to be a celebration. I'm going to be talking about my trip to Keeneland. We're going to show some information about the farms I was at. I've got some great videos, some great pictures, and then I have two guests coming on to talk about the Kentucky Oaks, which is on a week from Friday. It's for the 3-year-old fillies, of course. It's going to be just sort of a brief snapshot of the Kentucky Oaks. We're going to talk about every single horse that is right now in the Kentucky Oaks field. Just a brief snapshot to give you a little tidbit of what's going to be coming up for the 3-year-old fillies in the Kentucky Oaks, which is going to be one hell of a race. There is a ton of talent in the Kentucky Oaks this year. All right, ladies and gentlemen, from a tech standpoint tonight, it's going to be a little tricky. For those of you that know me, of course, I'm the editor, I'm the producer, I do it all. If you are new to the show, you'll see me looking left and right. I'm clicking a bunch of buttons to set up what we want. The first thing we're going to do, folks, is talk about my trip to Keeneland. Now, if you were not aware, I had a pretty cool weekend. Um, I have some thank yous that I first want to throw out. As everyone knows, I was at Keeneland Racecourse in Lexington, Kentucky this weekend. I traveled with my friend Kyle Roscoe, who's been on the show. It was his first time to Keeneland. He had a spectacular time. It was my third time to Keeneland. I want to shout out first a few thank yous. The first thank you I want to shout out to is Jim Goodman. Jim Goodman is the director of simulcasting at Keeneland. He was fantastic. I took a part. I was a contestant in the Grade 1 Gamble on Saturday. Didn't go as well as I wanted. Had a lot of tough beats. Gam's Mission is one tough beat I had on Saturday. I loved Scalding, but I didn't have him underneath. I didn't have Dynamic 1 finishing second. Anyway, there are a lot of just tough situations didn't work out for me. Needless to say, Jim Goodman, who does a fantastic job at Keeneland. It was first class all the way. The contest was great. And then I asked him for a big favor on Sunday because, frankly, I didn't want to sit in the heat and the sun with my suit on getting ready for the TVG appearance. He hooked us up in the green room, which is a VIP room, comped. I didn't have to drop a dime. Jim Goodman, great guy. Thank you very much for all the hospitality at Keeneland. Then I want to thank Scott Hazelton of TVG. Does a great job on TVG. I wanted to go to Coolmore America. We're going to talk about Coolmore America. Great farm. I did not have a tour. They were all booked up. Scott has some connections because he does a lot at Keeneland with sales and the farms. Got me in touch with someone at Coolmore America. We visited Coolmore Farms. Coolmore America, at Ashford Stud. Thank you very much, Scott Hazelton, for that. And then finally, Todd Schrupp. Todd, if you hear this, I cannot thank you enough. You gave me the opportunity of a lifetime. I see some people give him crap on Twitter once in a while because, he can be goofy at times. He likes to have fun. Some people rip on his picks, whatever. Guys, if it wasn't for Todd Schrupp, I would not have been on TVG. It's plain and simple. I have other people that I want to thank in the Money Media, Matt Bernier, Peter Thomas Fortental, and you guys, the viewers. There's no way that this podcast would be what it is without all of my guests and especially you viewers out there who have grown this channel from day one. So I know this sort of sounds like an award show speech, but in a way it is because it culminated in a chance of a lifetime that I enjoyed thoroughly, which we're going to talk about just a little bit here on the show when I was live on TVG this past Sunday, which was a tremendous experience. So thank you to everyone out there to help me get to that point. I've worked my ass off, to be very honest. This is the 130th show, mainly on my own, no corporate sponsorship. Actually, no sponsorship really at all until a few months ago when Adelphi jumped on and bet US. So thank you very much to everyone that helped me get there. Now, we're going to go in reverse chronological order. We're going to talk about my TVG appearance very briefly. I'm just going to show, I know a lot of you that are watching tonight probably saw the appearance. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I thought overall it went well. I realized after the fact there were a few technical glitches that I had nothing to do with. But overall, I thought it went fantastic. Of course, I was fortunate enough to pick Petrichor, who won the race. I was hoping I'd get a bigger price, but hey, I am batting 1,000. No one can tell me. I'm probably the only person in the history of TVG who has gone on the show and has never picked a loser on TVG. So at least I can say that. And so that was an absolute pleasure. By the way, Joel Rosario, what a ride. unbelievable. Split horses. The timing was perfect. Beat Abscond by about this much. Thanks, Joel Rosario and Bill Mott. I'm going to show very quickly. I'm going to bring up just the first minute or two. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, if you didn't see the appearance, I'm just going to go ahead and very briefly bring that up here on screen in just a minute here. As I'm going to go ahead and rewind. And give me 1 second here as I'm going to go ahead and set this up. This is just about the first minute of me with Todd Schrupp at Keeneland this Sunday, fulfilling a dream of mine, being on national TV, discussing race 9 at Keeneland Racehorse. Here am I with the one and only Todd Schrupp.
Kravitz, if you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country. He's had several of us on TVG on the podcast. And when I was on, I said, Howard, I want to return the favor. You've been so gracious to all of us. We want you to sit on the TVG set. He has traveled all the way here. And am I understanding this right, Howard? First time to Keeneland?
No, actually my third time to Keeneland.
So you brought a friend, though, who was here first time.
It's his first time.
So
correct.
what does he think of it?
Oh, it's been tremendous. We were at Coolmore, America yesterday. We were at Claiborne this morning. It's just been a fantastic journey.
Oh, so you didn't waste any time. You got out to two of the premier farms here. Where's home for you?
Chicago area,
Okay.
northern suburbs, about 20 minutes away from Arlington.
So we get a lot of good fans down from Chicago. A lot of them go back to Arlington, maybe even the original Washington Park, some Hawthorne, even the old Sportsman Park. How did you get into horse racing?
Well, it's interesting. No one in my family really was involved in horse racing. I went first time as a teenager, actually, but I enjoyed the sport a lot. There's a lot of math involved, and I'm a full-time high school math teacher by trade, so it's sort of a natural fit, and I'm a very competitive person, and so just carried on from there. I love the gambling side of it, obviously.
How big is the high school, and can you say the name
Oh,
of your
sure.
high school? Okay.
Round Lake High School.
And what's their mascot?
It's Panthers, about shout out to the Panthers, a little more than 2,000 students at Round Lake High School.
So you would have been the coolest math teacher for me, because that was a subject that I struggled in, and the reason I struggled is because I was more interested in my handicapping books with horse racing. I started to discover it as a teenager. My math skills, oddly enough, got better when I went to the track. Do you ever incorporate horse racing and numbers from the track into your lessons to your high school math students?
You know, we talk about statistics a little bit, but, you know, talking about gambling in a high school, math class, not the best idea, but there's a lot of statistics and odds that we discuss. So you can transfer a lot of that knowledge from horse racing certainly into the curriculum as well.
How would you describe yourself as a handicapper? What's your approach?
So, everyone looks at speed figures in class, and of course there's a lot of speed figures that you can look at, but there's two things that I focus on, especially in my handicapping and on my podcast. I think trying to see race flow is very important. I use Timeform US, look early and late pace, and try to develop how the race is going to be run. It's not easy. Sometimes horses don't break. There's jockey intent, etc. And then I watch a lot of replays. I'm a visual handicapper. We talk about replays on the podcast quite a bit and talk about troubled trips and horses that get perfect trips that you might not like the next time. I think that's a very underrated handicapping edge, to find the horse that ran very well last time because he or she got that perfect trip might not get that same trip the next race.
You can tell Howard Kravitz knows this sport, and we're going to put his knowledge to the test when we return here to Keeneland. He's going to...
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was about a few minutes with Todd Schrupp. I just want to say a few things because obviously most of you have no idea about the behind the scenes. The camera that you speak into, if you think about those old movies or when they show a news broadcast happening, and you have those like big cameras on wheels and whatnot. And I've been in a broadcast studio. I was actually a journalism major in college, and I've been in a TV studio. The actual camera was relatively small, but there were like 4 or 5 monitors everywhere. Obviously, I had a mic on in my in my ears there. So there was a lot going on, and I honestly, and I'm not blaming Todd for this or anything, but I did not know that I was going to be going through the post parade until literally 4 minutes before it happened. I thought I was just going to talk about the top 3 or 4 horses I liked. And just handicap that race in particular. So when we actually went through the field, there were some things that I wasn't prepared for. I thought we handled that okay. Of course, if you watch the broadcast, you also know that there was a race at Oaklawn that they are required to show by contract that actually happened in the middle of the post parade, which was sort of weird. Anyway, there's a few things that went on, but it's live TV, right? That was unexpected. Um, anyway, everything ended up being fantastic. Again, Todd Schrupp is an absolute pro. He's one of the most respected TV horse racing journalists in the country. Um, so he was fantastic. I felt no pressure. I was not nervous at all. Real comfortable. Again, it was fantastic. And of course, we all know what happened at the end. Now we got to talk about here as I go ahead and set up a few things here. We all know what happened at the end, or I'm assuming everyone knows. I liked number 2, Petrichor, who was a first-time foreign import from France for Bill Mott and Joel Rosario, who, by the way, there were stats that I didn't get a chance to talk about. How about this, folks? Are you ready? Bill Mott, last 5 years, this was before the race Sunday. Bill Mott, last 5 years, first time foreign shippers into this country, 33 starts. I'm going to pause and let people put in the chat. How many winners do you think Bill Mott had before Sunday with first time starters in this country from Europe in the last 5 years? 33 starts. I'm just going to go ahead and just talk and pause a little bit. Everyone, I feel like I'm a teacher now, which I am. Type in a number. How many winners Bill Mott has? 33 starts. I'll see if how many. We got people chatting. Got 1. I see 21. 17. Again, 33 starts for Bill Mott. Last 5 years, first time foreign shippers. I see 11. I see a lot. Kyle Roscoe chimed in. Kyle knows the answer. Are you ready for this, guys? 2. Bill Mott was only 2 for 33 in the last 5 years with foreign shippers. I was amazed. 6%. Now, he's 15% or was 15% with turf starters off a 6-month layoff in the last 5 years. So he's very good with layoff horses on the turf. Horrible with first-time starters from Europe. I said I didn't give a chance. I briefly talked about in the show. This horse had really good form in France. She had lost to future Group 1 and Group 2 winners. I thought she was well meant. She was bet down. Anyway, I was going to buck that trend. How about that? 2 for 33. Now, 3 for 34. 10% for Bill Mott. Anyway, I thought people would find that interesting. Now, next thing I want to say. There was a bit of so I won the bet and I handed the $50 ticket, completely legitimate. I made the bet. By the way, let me talk about that. I made the bet on Petrichor a good hour and a half before. I didn't want to do it too late. I was getting ready for the show, etc. I didn't want to be, nervous. So I made the bet way earlier in the day. Petrichor is 5-1 morning line. I figured I'd get maybe, 7-2, 4-1. I didn't think there was any way that she was being bet down to 9-5. Anyway, I didn't know the odds on Petrichor during the race either, to be honest. I gave the ticket to Todd. He shows the bet, and I had planned all along to donate a portion of my bet to the PDJF and the TRF. That was my plan all along. If I had won, I was going to do that. And I said a portion on the show because, frankly, I thought that ticket would be worth maybe $300, $400. And no disrespect to the charities, I just wasn't planning on giving that much. As it turned out, it was 9-5. And so I won $90 plus the 50 that I bet. So I ended up with a $140 voucher. And I said on air that I was going to donate to those two charities. Then there was a bit of let's just say, a kerfuffle on Twitter, which I'm not going to get into. I don't want to talk about it all. If you follow me on Twitter, you know what I'm talking about. Everyone who knows me knows that I'm a man of my word. So I just wanted to show everyone, if you bear with me, the donations. I made two $70 donations. I'm going to bring it up right now. And I'm not doing this because you people at home, listening or watching don't believe me. I just want to show everyone that I did, that I'm a man of my word. And I also want to promote these two great charities. And listen, you want to give whatever you want. I think $1 is a fantastic gesture. Whatever you can give to any charity, horse racing at all, whether it be horse racing or something else, I think it's wonderful when people give of their own hard-earned money. I'll just leave it at that. So here, folks, is the proof. What we got? I don't know why that just happened. Okay, let's try that one more time. Sometimes that happens. All right, there we go. I thought I would be able to zoom in. Anyway, there it is. It's I don't know if you guys can see it. It's a little bit small. I can't make it bigger right now, but there's a $70, if you can see their amount, $70 to the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation. I also made another. The other $70 went to. I'll bring that up to the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund, and here it is right now as I bring that up, and there it is. This is a letter you can see confirming. There's the date on behalf of the PDJF, $70 via my credit card, etc., etc. There it is, folks. So again, I'm very happy to do it. Whoops, sorry, didn't want to do that. Very happy to give. Highly recommend you guys give to those charities if you'd like to, and if not, that's fine too. Completely up to you. Let's go. We got a lot of comments here. Let me just see here. A-Raw, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah, listen. Dean just made a comment. Again, I don't want to dwell on the Twitter thing, Dean, but thank you. Appreciate it. Happy to do it. All right. Now, let's get into what happened also at Keeneland. I know that we have two gentlemen are waiting, and maybe I'll just go ahead and bring them on early. So I'll bring them on in a few minutes. So the two people, I know one person's already there. The other gentleman who's going to be coming on, Pete, if you can hear me, go ahead and we'll bring on before we start talking about the Kentucky Oaks. I'll bring on some two people here in just a minute. So I went to two farms at Keeneland, and I thought it would be sort of cool in Lexington. I thought it'd be cool to show some of you what happened at these farms. The first farm I went to Coolmore, America at Ashford Stud. And are you ready? we saw, myself and Kyle Roscoe, we saw Justify, American Pharaoh, Mendelssohn, Uncle Mo, and Tis the Law, plus some others. Wow. If you're not familiar with Coolmore America, I have a quick video that I want to show you about Coolmore America. Let me bring that on the screen here, and you can learn a little bit about what Coolmore America is about. So let me bring that on the screen. This is a little quick video on Coolmore America.
Set in the rolling hills of central Kentucky, in the epicenter of American thoroughbred racing, this is Ashford Stud, home of Coolmore America. On what was once Woodford-Hereford Cattle Farm, Ashford Stud opened its doors for the 1982 breeding season. Their mission? To be second to none in American thoroughbred breeding. That inaugural stallion roster featured Europe's highest-rated 2-year-old, Stormbird. His breeding to resident Ashford mare and Secretariat filly Terlingua produced Stormcat, a colt whose impact on the worldwide breeding industry resonates to this day. Ashford Stud became part of the Coolmore family in the mid-1980s. Stallions El Gran Senor and Woodman, soon-to-be champion juvenile sire, joined Stormbird to help solidify Ashford's reputation for success. The 1996 retirement to stud at Ashford of Kentucky Derby winner Thunder Gulch, himself out of a Stormbird sired mare, would prove pivotal. Thunder Gulch would go on to become the first champion sire to stand at Ashford, topping the general sires list in 2001. The benchmark of success had been established, and stallions such as Hennessy, Tail of the Cat, Scat Daddy, and Uncle Mo continued this tradition, earning champion juvenile sire honors. Giant's Causeway, another champion juvenile sire, brought still more kudos to Ashford, becoming the first horse since Danzig to top the general sires list on 3 occasions. Today, Ashford continues to push their own lofty standards for excellence with a stallion roster that truly justifies the name, Home of Champions.
It is Practical Joke in the Allen Jerkin.
Here's the champ, Classic Empire!
Munnings is clear. Munnings does it.
Cupid with a gilt-edged lead in the Gold Cup.
Mendelssohn has won it by a lane.
Motown to win the Remsen.
Looking at Lucky has won the Princess. Justify is the 13th Triple Crown winner.
Coolmore, America, home of champions.
This place was absolutely ridiculous. Let me just show you. I've got some things I want to show everyone here. If you just bear with me here 1 second. Let me just take that off. All right. So I'm going to go through this quickly because we have 2 very important people waiting, but I really want to talk about what I saw. So let me bring this back on screen. First, let me show you Justify, and I believe I have... I think we'll just get to pictures. I don't know if I want to. Sorry, let's go ahead and show. I took time to put it up, so that's okay. I think people want to see. So let me go ahead and show the first horse I'm going to bring on here. This is a video of Justify, and I have to say, of all the horses, I'm talking about horses I saw at Claiborne too, Justify was a beast. Gorgeous. Big horse. I'm going to bring Justify up on screen right now. This is all my footage that you're going to see, and I'm going to go ahead. I think actually I'm going to leave the audio off here. So here was Justify that I saw on Saturday. We went to Coolmore Saturday morning. Here's Justify. This horse was just absolutely. Let me go and play it here. Big, gorgeous. Again, it's always hard to tell. Let me take off. It's a little bit hard to tell, of course, just by watching a video. But this horse was huge. I mean, what a beautiful, beautiful horse. You can see he was longer and taller than I thought, actually. I didn't think he'd be that long and that tall, but Justify was absolutely gorgeous. Next up here on the list, again, a lot of buttons I'm pressing here, folks, so just bear with me. Next on the list, another Triple Crown winner. I mean, I buried the lead. That was a Triple Crown winner. Another Triple Crown winner. And I suppose you could say more famous. American Pharaoh. Here's American Pharaoh. I'm going to bring him on here just right now on screen. Again, this was, and I also have a picture I want to show you. This was American Pharaoh. I'll go ahead and play the video here. He was not physically imposing, which I had heard about. I mean, he was a beautiful horse. But you can see, I don't know if you could tell, he's really not as big as Justify. But he is absolutely gorgeous, complete sweetheart. I mean, there he's looking at the camera. He noticed us. He was fantastic. There's American Pharaoh. What a treat to see American Pharaoh up close in person. And not only that, hold on 1 second here, as I go ahead and switch to some pictures now. Let me go to some pictures. Go ahead and switch screens. Okay. There we go. Let me take this down. So actually, I'll leave that up. So this was, make it a little bit bigger. Again, this is Justify right there. I mean, gorgeous, right? Absolutely beautiful. Here are 2 beautiful specimens. Just kidding. One ugly dude and American Pharaoh. I mean, just to be that close to American Pharaoh, I got chills. He was really nice and friendly to be around. It was amazing. So there's me and American Pharaoh. Fantastic. This is Mendelssohn. Real nice horse for Aiden O'Brien, if you recall. This is Mendelssohn. You see a little bit of longer neck. He was ran on turf and dirt. Really nice horse there. Here is Uncle Mo, everyone. That is Uncle Mo, who you can see a little stockier built. Beautiful horse. He was also physically impressive. That was Uncle Mo right there. And then the last one I want to show you. This is Tiz the Law on screen right now. Tiz the Law. Beautiful horse. Sort of new to them. You can see that famous white stripe that he had. That was Tiz the Law right there. So anyway, Coolmore America was outstanding. I had a good time there. The next farm I'm going to bring on, and if Pete can hear me, Pete, I'm going to bring both you and our guest on right now because I saw a horse at Claiborne, and I know one of the people coming that's about to come on is very interested. So let me just stop bearing the lead. I have a very exciting announcement I'd like to make. I have made the decision to have some co-hosts. I think it's very important for you folks to hear from more than one person, and I'm very excited to officially announce I'm bringing on 2 new co-hosts to the show that will become a much bigger part of the HHH Racing podcast. They've been on this show several times. They're 2 great guys. I feel very comfortable calling them good friends, even though I've yet to meet them in person. They're both from the East Coast. They're excellent handicappers. They both have great knowledge of the game. I want to bring on my 2 new co-hosts to the HHH Racing podcast, Pete Visco and Paul Halloran. Guys, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good, Howard. Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. Paul, how you doing?
We're playing Pete second, third, and fourth fiddle to Justify and Mendelssohn and American Pharaoh.
Okay.
That's okay.
That's okay.
By the way, guys, the check's in the mail. You'll be receiving it sometime soon. These guys are great. They've been on the show before, handicapping. They will be on often. So if you're new to the show, you're going to very much enjoy Pete and Paul. If you have been watching the show, you know their exploits. They do a fantastic job. Gentlemen, let's go to Claiborne Farm before we talk about the Kentucky Oaks. And Paul, I know, why don't you very briefly, you don't have to go into the whole diatribe, Paul, but very briefly, why would you be excited about a Claiborne Farm conversation?
Well, we're going to get to see the horse who trounced Mendelssohn in the Travers.
And that would be?
Catholic Boy.
And tell everyone just very briefly, we have a lot of new viewers and new listeners to the show tonight because of some bizarre occurrence that happened over the weekend with me. Tell everyone your connection with Catholic Boy again, please.
Grade 1 winner in dirt and turf. Well, I played him for my dad, who unfortunately passed away while I was at the Breeders' Cup when he ran in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and had an unsuccessful string of betting him. And it all came to fruition in the Travers. And like you, I got to meet him up close and personal the day after the Travers, and have written about it and talked about it, and just has a special place in my heart.
Yeah, I mean, he's just tremendous. I'm going to go ahead and bring up some pictures here as I'm talking here. The first horse we're going to bring up, I'm just getting some things ready here. Let's bring up War of Will, guys. Let me go ahead and we'll keep us on screen. We'll just make us small. I can make that happen here. You see the people that I'm going to talk about very briefly, folks. War of Will, Run Happy, Catholic Boy, Warfront, and Blame. I mean, did I see some horse flesh this weekend or what? I mean, the horses on the track were pretty good, but have either one of you guys been to either one of these farms? I bring up some pictures.
No, it's on my list, Howard. If not Breeders' Cup this year, definitely either in the fall or next spring.
No, me neither. Actually, though, I don't really want to see the picture of Blame. If you could see my shirt, I have a Zenyatta shirt on.
Whoa! We really went a little. All right, with the rivalry's already started. There is again some ugly dude next to War of Will who's sticking his tongue out because I don't think he liked maybe the rub on the neck or something. No, I don't know. I just thought it was a funny picture. War of Will. I know it's not a full body shot of War of Will, but absolutely beautiful horse, by the way, guys. It was really cool to have him. The next one I want to show here. There's Run Happy. Now, they didn't let Run Happy out of his stall there, but he's at stall number 1. And if you don't know about stall number 1, that stall, that picture right there, ladies and gentlemen, is the exact same stall that Secretariat lived in, and many other of the best horses that ever ran in the United States. That's called stall number 1 at Claiborne Farm. And Run Happy, sort of stuck his head out there. It was a pleasure to be around. He was actually sleeping, guys. He was sleeping. And then heard, the tourists coming, and he woke up and sort of stuck his head out there. So that was Run Happy. Now the next guy here. Now I got a little story to tell you about the reason why we're going to see it this way. Paul, I got some bad news for you. I think, let's bring us back on screen a little bit here. I believe, and I never went to Catholic school, I believe Catholic Boy might have been naughty, got some demerits or something, leave him out of his stall. I don't know if he's just a little cantankerous or what the situation was, or maybe he had been let out a little bit before. But I got the best picture I could of Catholic Boy as he sort of leaned over the top of the stall. You've met Catholic Boy, Paul, correct?
A few times, yes. You've met him at Saratoga the day after the Travers, and another time, and was able to get up close and personal. It was Sunday, Howard. It's his day. It's a Sabbath.
Okay.
Of course he wasn't coming out.
You're right. Good point. I forgot about this. I forgot about the Sunday angle. Let's talk about this beauty here. This horse right here. Let me rewind. I'm gonna leave the sound off. This is Warfront, guys. Warfront is he's 20 years old. 20 years old, guys. He is still worth $85 million. You heard that correctly. He's worth $85 million. He is his fee is $100,000 right now. So you can only breed him for $100,000. Used to be $250,000. He is worth 85. He's worth $85 million. An absolute sweetheart. That is Warfront. Warfront, guys, by the way, is my screensaver. I don't know if you knew that or not, but he is my screensaver. Fantastic horse there. And then I think I have one more horse. Oh, Blame. I got one more picture to show everyone. I thought that'd be a funny picture. There's Blame. So, Pete, he's sticking your tongue out at you there. I think he saw your shirt in the distance, and he said, Pete Visco, take that. I remember that race in 2010. I'm not going to let that big mama go by me. Blame, who, by the way, gave me the pick 4 that day. Apparently, that was not a good thing for Pete Visco, though.
Thanks, Blame. I appreciate that, Howard. Way to welcome the new co-host to the show with a picture like that.
Was your love for Zenyatta, Pete, everyone's love, or did you have any particular connection, or you just love?
No, I've probably told you a bunch of times that I always love closers, and to my detriment more often than not, but she was one of the best of those at all time, and she just was a wonderful horse and just a wonderful story, so just got hooked on her.
Absolutely. As I bring you guys both back on screen here, before we talk about the Kentucky Oaks, I do want to bring on something on screen, and then we're going to talk about the Kentucky Oaks, ladies and gentlemen. So that was my trip to Claiborne and to Coolmore. I thought you guys would enjoy that. I hope you did. Very important announcement, and I meant to talk about this at the beginning of the show, so I will make sure that I put this out on Twitter. Let me go ahead and share this, guys, and then we're going to talk about the Kentucky Oaks field. Next week, and of course, the gentlemen that you see on the screen are going to be an integral part of this. So everyone, please take a look. Let me go ahead back. Here is what's happening next week. Now, we're going to have about 6+ hours of live coverage here on the HHH Racing Podcast. We're going to have excellent expert handicappers coming on, not just Paul and Pete, but I have some people hopefully coming on big in the contest world that are known throughout the country. It's to be determined which days they're going to come on. We're going to show video replays and stats. We're going to talk about horizontal plays like pick fives, vertical plays, trifectas, superfectas, etc. on the Oaks and Derby Day. You are not going to want to miss this. Specifically, it's going to be starting at 8 o'clock Eastern every night. We're going to go Monday through Thursday. All this can be found on the YouTube channel. So if you go to my YouTube channel, this is why everyone should be hit that notification bell also. Make sure you hit that notification bell to remind you. Monday, the draw is at 2 o'clock Eastern, I believe, for the Oaks and the Derby. The Oaks and the Derby draw is 2 o'clock on Monday. We will not be live for that. I will be working at my school. I might do a real quick reaction help when I get home, perhaps. I'll let you know. But anyway, post position conversation and for the Oaks and Derby, and we will talk about the bottom 10 Derby horses by the odds. So the projected worst 10 horses we'll talk about on Monday in detail. Tuesday in detail, we'll talk about the top 10 Derby horses by the current projected morning line odds. We might show some replays, but we'll go into detail. Wednesday specifically, all about the Kentucky Oaks Day, which is Friday, of course, of next week. We'll talk about the stakes on the Kentucky Oaks Day. And we'll talk about the late pick 5. And then Thursday is the real big one. We're going to jump in detail with all the Kentucky Derby Day stake races and, of course, the late pick 5, plus detailed analysis of the Kentucky Derby itself and the superfecta bet. We'll also talk about that a little bit. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me put that, take this off screen. That is the plan for next week. I hope you can join us for every single show. If you can't join us live, please make sure, and I didn't even mention this, and again, Peter and Paul, sorry for all the promo stuff, but it's a big night here. We have a lot of new people. I want to mention that you can also, and you perhaps you are listening right now. If you are listening right now on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Anchor, thank you very much. If you are watching the show and you want to listen to the replay on the way to work or whatever, or just tell people about it, you can listen to all the replays of every show here on the HHH Racing Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Anchor. So highly recommend you check it out on those platforms as well. All right, gentlemen, let's go talk about the Kentucky Oaks. And Paul, I'm going to let you go first. Now, this is not going to be a deep dive. We're going to talk for, I don't know, maybe 20, 25 minutes, guys. So literally just a few minutes about each horse. We're going to get into detail, ladies and gentlemen, next week. So this is just a brief snapshot. Paul, I'm going to let you go first. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the PPs from Brisnet, I believe. Thank you, Pete Visco. Courtesy of Pete Visco for that. Paul, your first impression of the Kentucky Oaks field as it stands right now.
Well, it's been well documented, Howard. Very competitive field, very top heavy. I think right off the top, people could look at Kathleno and Echo Zulu and Nest and Hidden Connection. Don't forget our friend Raylu and Secret Oath. I find, and I've spent a lot of time on the Oaks because I want to be prepared for this new gig that Pete and I have. I find myself coming up with some pretty good knocks on some of the contenders. The one stand I'm very likely going to take, Howard, is I'm going to be very against Echo Zulu going into the Oaks. I really think the 9th furlong or the between the last half furlong, shall we say, is going to be an issue. We won't get into workouts too much. I'm not a workout expert, but I think I have watched all of these horses work, probably the top contenders over the last week. She had to be urged a little bit. She was working with a maiden and had to be urged a little bit. She's 5 for 5. All right. She goes 6 for 6. I'm not going to be shocked, but the ones at this point, 10 days out, that's going to be my one stand in the race.
Pete, general impressions for you for the Oaks.
Well, I think the coolest thing about it, and aside from the fact that there's 4 real heavy hitters and then behind them just a bunch of really good horses all the way probably to the bottom. I mean, I don't really think there's a poor entry in it, but I think the coolest thing is out of the four big shots, you have a speed horse, you have sort of an Echo Zulu, you have Nest, who sort of sits right off, you have Secret Oath, whose perfect running style is probably just a little bit off of where Nest would be, and you have Kathleen O, who's a monster closer. So it's odd and cool that you have sort of all the different styles in one race, and it would be great to see how they all come together, how the race flow actually goes. I mean, you can look at it on paper, but we all know that doesn't always translate to what happens on the track. I just thought that was the most impressive and exciting thing about this race, because usually it's not the top 4 horses that are so diverse in terms of their running style.
Guys, I'll give my general impressions. I can't remember the last time I've said this. I've probably been a horse player legitimately, 30 years, with strong focus in the last, I would say, 15 to 20. I cannot remember a Derby weekend where I was equally as excited, if not possibly slightly even more excited. And I hate to say, I know that's blasphemous, for the Oaks than the Derby. This is the strongest. I actually talked to Scott Hazelton about it. By the way, met Dave Weaver, also great. Ice Cold from TVG, great guy. Caleb, also I met down there. Talked to Kate and Bradar. I talked to a bunch of people from TVG. To a man and woman, almost everyone said this is the most talented Oaks field they've seen like in their lifetime. There are a lot of fast 3-year-old fillies in this race. And I think there's one horse in this race that we can touch on a little bit here. We are going to touch on that may have a huge effect in this race that I personally feel has no chance to win, but has a huge effect in this race. Who do you think I'm talking about? Put that in the chat. If you're familiar with the Kentucky Oaks, what's the horse that I believe has no chance in this race, but will have a big effect on this race? So maybe Pete and Paul have an idea of who I think they probably have a good idea of who I'm referring to. Guys, we're going to, again, go ahead and quickly go through just maybe a little 30 seconds for each person on each horse. These horses are listed by their points. So the reason why Kathleen O is first, and we'll go full screen here in a minute. And by the way, Chris Mack, A. Roth, JJ Tids in the comment. You guys are exactly right. It's Uguri, because she is going to be a son of a gun for Echo Zulu to deal with, assuming they both break. You guys are right. I'll tell you what, Pete and Paul, we got sharp people on the show for sure, viewers. Anyway, guys, we're going to go literally 30 seconds on each horse. General impression. We're not showing video. We're not showing replays tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this is a quick snapshot. Pete and Paul, if you have any quick workout information, we don't even need times. You can just say you heard they worked, X, Y, and Z, or they worked with someone or whatever. If you want to add to that, I've been a little bit busy lately, a little preoccupied. I'm a little behind with the Oaks workers. Pete, we'll let you go first. Kathleen O, what do you think of her right now?
Well, I'm glad I started with her, because as I said about the loving the closers, this one is as good as it gets. And the one thing about her, if you watch that last race, she was ridden by Castellano. She was ridden like the horse who was by far the best. I mean, she was 4 wide on both turns just to stay out of trouble, and just swept by the field pretty easily. So she just had so much gas in the tank, and I love the way she runs. Whether that'll be compromised and whether there's enough speed to let her take her late run, we'll see. But she's, as far as just pure favoritism on my part, she's my favorite to watch.
Paul, she's 4 for 4, done absolutely nothing wrong, almost $400,000 in the bankroll.
Yeah, as I said, I went back and watched the replay of just about all the contenders last race, and as Pete said, Castellano, it's the Gulfstream Park Oaks. It's a grade 2, but it's a key prep for this race, and he rode the race, as Pete accurately points out, as if he thought there was no chance anyone in the race was going to beat her, and she strode. She had a great stride out after that. She did have a pretty good workout, Howard. I did watch her work. She galloped in the work. She galloped out pretty strong. Obviously, the distance is not going to be a factor. I really think, depending on post position, obviously, but this is going to be in the hands of Mr. Castellano, because he's got to be sitting on a horse who has at least equal ability to anyone else in there.
I'll be very brief. Kathleen O is one of my top 2 choices right now. I have one concern, guys. She hasn't beaten anything. I mean, these are weak fields she's beating. And
Correct.
This is by far. Now, I know everyone's going to say the same thing. Of course, this is the strongest field they've all faced. But, often you see these girls, facing each other a little bit. I mean, the horses that she have beaten are not top contenders, and frankly are not very good. No disrespect, that came across sort of strong. When I say not very good, I mean within the context of the race. That's my only concern with Kathleen O. But I think, guys, she's going to love the long stretch at Churchill. She'll have plenty of time to wind it up and come wide if necessary, whatever. This next horse I think is very polarizing. Very polarizing. I don't think I'm another undefeated horse, guys. I mean, unbelievable. 5 for 5, 2-year-old champion, 1.72 million. Paul, you already touched, I believe, on Echo Zulu. You're gonna be against, correct?
Yeah, I think so. And again, you got to take a stand somewhere. And I thought the last race that Hidden Connection just about caught her. I mean, she dug in. She didn't do anything wrong. It was a mile and a 16th. Hidden Connection, who's probably, at least on paper, the 5th best horse in this field, 5th or 6th, just about got her at 9-1. Unfortunately, he didn't get her at 9-1. It would have been a much better story for me if she did get her at 9-1. But yeah, to your point, Howard, Uguri is going to go, and even though Venti Valentine might not have as much speed in the figs, Maggie Wolfendale, I was listening to on a podcast yesterday, who I respect a great deal. She thinks the horse is more of a miler. I think that horse is a dead send as well. So there should be plenty of company up front.
A-Roth, Pete, I want you can just interject this, the answer to this question into your comment. A-Roth 232, again, thanks for watching, A-Roth. He thinks that perhaps Echo Zulu can sit off Uguri and go by. Do you have that feeling that Echo Zulu is capable of doing that at 1 mile and 1/8?
I mean, you'd like to see it first. I would have liked to see it in one of the other prior races. She hasn't really done it since her maiden breaker, but so I don't like to count on that. I mean, I guess nothing's impossible, and especially if Joelle knows that there's a horse that she's definitely better than in front of her. So maybe it's a possibility. Maybe they're trying to work her to learn how to do that a little better. But I don't know if you want to try that the first time in the Kentucky Oaks. So, I mean, I agree. The same thing with all these races, though, is we've seen so many times. And if she can get the distance, and if no one else is fast enough to go with her, and she gets that breather halfway through, I mean, I wouldn't shock you. The one funny thing about this race is that the top 4, obviously, they're all relatively equal in stature, and if any of them won, it wouldn't shock anyone. And the fact that if any of them were the favorite, it wouldn't shock any of you. And Echo Zulu is the favorite, and for good reason. So, I mean, 2-year-old champ, undefeated, gets on the lead, probably the best speed, which wins a lot of races. Whether she will this one, it's just a formula that wins races.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement with Paul on this one. I'm going to be playing against Echo Zulu.
By the way, I am too. Just for the record, I don't like her. I'm just making the contrarian case in that respect.
Unless there's a.
Excuse me, just a note. A-Roth in the comments. I just want to point out. He said Echo Zulu worked amazing with Epicenter. Perhaps last week, but the workout 2 days ago, Echo Zulu worked with a gray horse who was not Epicenter, who was, according to the guys on the Kentucky Derby morning show, was a maiden, and I thought worked equally or not quite as well. It could very well have worked with Epicenter prior to, but the most recent work was not with Epicenter.
I heard Mike Welsh on the Steve Bick show, who sort of echoed those same comments, that he was not really that impressed with Echo Zulu's last work. So, A-Roth, really do appreciate the comment. We might be talking about 2 works back. Listen, they're all going to be, as I talked to Pete earlier today, ladies and gentlemen, they're all going to work pretty well. These are the best 3-year-old fillies and colts getting ready for the biggest race of their life. No one's going to work badly. I actually had an email. I don't mean to sidetrack, guys, but I think it's worth talking about. I had someone send me an email, a new, I almost said fan. I mean, I can't say fan. That's ridiculous. A new admirer of my work, who asked about how do you know when a work is a good work? Because I said on Twitter that Zandon's work I thought was outstanding. For me, guys, and we're not going to get into works right now in detail, but for me, it's not about the final time. It's how they do it and how they finish, and do they listen to the riders' cues? Do they switch leads correctly? That's what you guys want to be looking. When I say you guys, I don't mean Pete and Paul. I'm talking to, of course, the viewers here and listeners. Look to see how the horse reacts to the rider's cue, if they switch leads, if they look comfortable. It's not really about time. There have been some great works in the past. Barbaro, Animal Kingdom. We can go on that just looked amazing and ran to that. There's also a zillion horses that look great and didn't run at all. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. And actually, thanks, Steve. Steve is actually the one that emailed me. So, Steve, trying to help you out there, buddy. I'm against Echo Zulu. She's going to be a C for me at best, unless Yuguri scratches or something else. I have no confidence that she can sit off Yuguri and go by. I don't think she wants any part of a mile and eighth. I'm going to be against Echo Zulu. I'll be using her defensively. All right, guys, we're already taking too long because we love horse racing. I got these new co-hosts, and they have no sense of time. Let's move things along. Just kidding, guys. I'm going to go first. I love Nest. Nest is my other most likely winner in this race. For me, it's Kathleen O and Nest will be as of now, are my two top choices. I've liked her for a long time, to be very honest. I know her numbers are a little bit, let me go full screen. I know her numbers are a little bit lighter, but she always looked to me like a horse that was really big, that needed time to develop. She's by Curlin out of an AP Indy mare. I think Pletcher has done a fantastic job, and her last race, guys, blew me out of the water. I thought she showed a lot more tactical speed. She's not some dead closer and some plotter. She blew by the field. Okay, maybe it wasn't a great field. I love Nest. Paul Halloran, what do you think of Nest?
Well, she certainly, Howard, watching the Ashland earlier tonight, we talked about how impressive Kathleen O was in the Gulfstream Park Oaks. The Ashland Nest was equally impressive. The commenters drew off in him late, just really powerful down the lane. That was a mile and a 16th. Again, Curlin out of an AP Indy mare. We're going to guess that 9 furlongs is not going to be much of an issue for Nest. And I think Pete brought it up at the very beginning when he talked about the different styles of these top 4 contenders. This is the one who at least appears on paper and on the screen to be very tactical and tractable, and could sit off that speed duel that we're hoping develops and get first run on a horse like Kathleen O. And then Kathleen O. now is going to be faced with, is she good enough to go by a closer, a strong horse like Nest?
Totally agree. I don't know if it was Peter or Paul. I can't remember when you guys told me that. I think it was you, Paul, that said you/me were afraid that Nest might be an underlay and might go off at like 5-2 or some ridiculously 3-1, some low number. Pete, 2 questions: your opinions of Nest, and just ballpark guess. Is she going to be second choice, the favorite? What's your vibe on this horse?
I don't really need to give an opinion because Paul said exactly what my opinion is. And unfortunately, we're going to be screwed because Kathleen O and Nest are my 2 top choices. So I don't know if that's a good omen, but we'll cross our fingers. But I love Nest too. I've always loved her. I loved her I love her style because she's going to, like Paul said, sit off Echo Zulu and Ujiri and get first run. And Kathleen's going to try and run her down. So I did actually pull odds from like Bet365 overseas just to have them handy. And she's 7-2, Echo Zulu 7-2, Secret Oath 5-1, and Kathleen O 6-1, just to give the top 4.
I shouldn't say this publicly on YouTube here. I'm not serious about this. I would bet a lot of money with anyone Nest versus Echo Zulu heads up, like right now. Yeah. I would take Nest in a heartbeat in that. I don't know, just my feeling. Let's move on, guys. Here's the horse that I believe will have a huge effect on this race. Knowing, us horse players' luck sometimes, this horse will stumble and Echo Zulu will walk to a 48 4.5 and wire the Oaks at 7-1 or 6-1 or some nonsense. I don't think so. This horse has always broken well. She's fast early, but she is not fast late. I don't see any chance in hell she has to win. I hated her last time in the fantasy. I couldn't believe she went off 4-1. And she went fast, though. I will say that. But they went very slow late, just barely hung on. Pete, I'll let you add anything to Yuguri. Listen, she's 5 for 5 in the money. You got to give her just due. I just don't think that this Brusette trainee is ripe to win this particular race on that day.
No, you're going to say this about a lot of these horses. They're excellent horses, but you're going against 4 stars almost. So you could be a good horse like this one is, and it's just not going to get it done against this field. I hope she breaks. I hope she goes with Echo Zulu, because I don't want to see a merry-go-round. So
No.
I hope she is as important as you think she's going to be, because I think the same thing, but I don't think she has. I mean, everybody has a shot to win. She wouldn't be anywhere. Yeah. She probably wouldn't be anywhere near my tickets.
Before I let Paul talk, I got to bring this up because JJ Tibbs, every time I see Abel Tasman, I smile. I won't give a dollar amount, but before I finished second in the Ultimate Betting Challenge competition in March, where I had a very nice, well, it's public knowledge, I had won $78,000 after between prize money, contest money, and my bankroll. Before that, my largest score I've ever had in my entire life was the 2017 Kentucky Oaks, pick 5 and pick 4. You can look it up if you want. When Abel Tasman, about 8-1, by the way, I think she was a pretty decent price in a tough, a pretty wide open Oaks field, won. So JJ Tibbs, thanks for. I saw Abel Tasman had to smile. Paul, sorry, Uguri, real quick.
Yeah, well, Howard, Uguri went 46-3 in the fantasy, and you look at these other preps. The Gulfstream Park Oaks, they went 48. The Ashland, they went 48-4. The Fairground Oaks, they went 47-3. The only other real comparable was the Santa Anita Oaks. They went 46-2, and we know they always go faster out on the West Coast. I mean, Nostalgic, who's going to take some action, he's coming out of the Gazelle. They went in 49. And won. So I agree. Uguri, barring missing the break, I think has to set a very strong pace in this race.
It sure seems to me. I think they only have one way to go. They can't possibly think they're going to win the Oaks by sitting off of Echo Zulu. I mean, now listen. I talked about it on the show with Todd on Sunday. I've talked about it on the show a zillion times. You guys are experienced expert handicappers. Everyone, they've got an idea. If a horse stumbles, they got to go to plan B. I also thought, that in the Breeders' Cup Classic, that Nick's Go was going to take a lot of pressure, from Medina Spirit. That never developed. So, I mean, and I bet Hot Rod Charlie a lot of money in the BCBC contest and got screwed. Listen, that's the way it goes. Uguri, nice horse. We're all against her. Let's go on to Desert Dawn. Paul, I'll let you go first. This is a horse trained by Phil D'Amato coming from the West Coast. Huge upset at 15-1 over Adair Manor, who I thought was a monster and almost a sure thing to win that race. This horse is improving, and I've actually heard some decent things about her workouts. I'm slightly intrigued with this horse, personally.
She ran well, Howard. I watched that one earlier today. Dan Manor was 3-5 with absolutely no excuse not to win that race. Give this horse credit. This horse sat about 4 or 5 lengths early on off the top 2. I think it was Adair Manor and Ain't Easy, I believe. And this horse was the one. She was 15-1, and she made a big move. Actually got the lead by the stretch call. And Adair Manor kind of dug in and came back on her, and it was a pretty good stretch battle. Visually, I don't know. The number came back okay. I'm only looking at Brisnet right now.
But, it came better than okay, Paul. Which
surprised 99.
Me. Surprised me, actually.
Yeah, but just look at the other races on this horse's dance card. 18 lengths behind Echo Zulu in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. I don't know. My gut, and I could be wrong, and I'll pay to be wrong. I've done it many times. My gut is that Santa Anita Oaks was not that good of a race. Field.
Yeah, and you're probably going to get another price. When I say interesting, I mean more underneath. Again, we got plenty of time to talk about this race. If she clunks up if the race complete falls apart, she clunks up for third or maybe even second, it wouldn't completely shock me. Pete, sorry, I'm stepping on your toes. What do you think?
No, again, complete agreement with Paul on this one. She's kind of a toss, if you could call him a toss for me. I mean, I think, again, good horse, but I just don't know. Might be up against the rest of this field. And I thought that that race was a little soft. It came back. I don't know if anyone she's beaten is going to be in this race at any. So what's another thing that I don't love and popped that figure, but it was a quick pace and maybe the pace actually sort of led to the good figure. So I don't know, just not one that I'm super intrigued by.
There's a part of me that would like to see Adair Manor in this race. I don't know what happened last time, but before that, she looked unbelievable. I mean, so I think she's maybe the second or third AE right now, so she's probably not getting in. But anyway,
I heard somewhere she was out anyway. I don't remember. Okay. I didn't see it on print. Appreciate I think that. I might have heard it somewhere where I think she's just out.
Okay. By the way, I want to thank everyone. I'm just going to leave it this here. Thank everyone for watching. Please comment on the top right-hand side of the screen anything about these horses. I know many of you watching and listening have seen these horses run this year, I would have to assume. So if you have any strong opinions, I'm looking at the comments all the time here. That's the great thing about having some co-hosts, is I can look at the comments more also and bring more comments up on the screen. This horse, I want to give a little thanks to this horse, guys, because Nostalgic, as I think you probably know, is a horse I tipped out on my race day blog and on my show with Andy Serling. I had Andy Serling on, and I thought I liked Nostalgic in the last race, and the Gazelle went off 4-1 up by your guys' neck of the woods there in New York, or I suppose closer to Paul. So Paul, I'll let you go first. This is a Godolphin bred horse, a Mott trained, regally bred. Did get a great trip last time, but is improving.
Yeah, I was going to say there's pros and cons, Howard, in my opinion. The pros are, Bill Mott does not get intoxicated by these Triple Crown type races, Triple Crown males and races like the Kentucky Oaks. He is only coming with a horse that he thinks has a chance. That to me is a positive. Jose Ortiz with a masterful ride up the rail, closed into a very slow pace. As I said, they went 49-1, 113-4 in the Gazelle. Went by Venti Valentine, who was a big favorite at 6-5. It was a perfect trip, thanks to Jose Ortiz and the ride he gave. Really was an ideal trip. The Brisnet number came back okay. It's a 98. The big question mark for me is this horse fast enough on balance? She could be. I'm not sure.
Pete?
Once again, me and Paul are on the same page. Although I like this horse. This horse I would definitely include, or I will be including on my, if I'm doing vertical tickets for sure, and then as sort of maybe a B on my, if I'm doing a horizontal tickets, just in case, because I like the kick. I mean, obviously you throw out that turf race. If you took that turf race right off, it sort of muddies up the form a bit, but the last two have been excellent. Again, Paul mentioned that she closed. The note I had was that she closed into a basic crawl last time and still closed with a nice kick. Came up with that nice figure, beat decent horses, unlike maybe some of the other sort of second and third level horses in this race. So again, I think she was going to get a similar trip probably following Nest. And if she's good enough, she's going to at least be there, hopefully in the lane, and then see what happens from there.
And I'm not a Brisnet, user here, but I just want to point out, I don't know if anyone can see this. You probably can't see my cursor here, but there are early E1, E2, and then LP, if you guys can see that, not, again, people watching. And you see the LP, that late pace figure was 113 last time, mainly because she closed into a slow pace. Now, she wasn't very far back. That is awfully fast. She's a nice closer. Is she better closer than Kathleen O? That's hard for me to believe that would be the case. But again, if someone's going to be flying late, it could very well be Nostalgic. I would be interested in playing her underneath for sure. Probably not on top, but underneath. And by the way, guys, Peter and Paul, here's a comment by Chris Mack that apparently Adair Manor is out and skipping the Oaks. So this is why I have these great guys as co-hosts, because they know more than me. So good on you guys for being correct on that. Let's go to Venti Valentine. This is a horse trained by Jorge Abreu, lost to the aforementioned Nostalgic last time. I'll give my opinion first, guys. I don't think this horse wants the distance. I think she's a nice horse, but I think she's up against it in this spot Pete, what's your feeling on Venti Valentine?
Agree the same thing. I think this is a real nice horse. I mean, the results speak for themselves, never out of the top two, and had popped some decent figures. Actually, from a Brisnet standpoint, pretty good figures this year. But you look up and you see to the right there where they have the sire stats, the average winning distance, 6.2. You just get the feeling that this horse isn't going to hold if they go. And I didn't like the fact that what we just talked about, where she was setting a slow enough pace where you would think that a horse like that, especially in a grade 3 against not like top-notch competition, would have been able to hold with those fractions and just couldn't. Plus, one last thing, if you look at Jorge Abreu's, he's not exactly the killer of graded stakes races with the over out of 28, as you could see on there. So there's a good horse, excellent horse. I just don't see it as a win contender here, nor probably second. Anything could hit the board, obviously. So underneath, I wouldn't argue with you, but I don't really like her that much.
I just want to point out for any new viewers or listeners on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Anchor, of course, you can't see the PPs right now, but as many of you know, we are going to be fully exclusively using DRF formulator PPs next week. They're not out yet, and so we wanted to show something. That's why we're showing these. Paul, did I let you talk on Venti Valentine? Paul, I'm drawing a blank now. Sorry.
No, you did not, Howard. And I just want to note that I am wearing my New York Thoroughbred Breeders hat, and I'm very partial to New York breds, and I would love to see this horse win.
It'd be a great story, but does she have a chance, Paul?
I think she might have a better chance in a race like the Acorn down the line if they get really ambitious. She'll certainly be a force. She would certainly be a force on a New York showcase day running with state breds. But Maggie, as I said, Maggie thinks she's built like a miler, which means she's 7 furlongs should be no problem. I think her future might be there in a one-turn 7 furlong or mile race.
Hey, Paul, I don't know. Oh, sorry, Howard. I was going to say, hey, Paul, I don't know if you saw it today, but she popped a nice workout, a nice 47 and change workout over the weekend. So, but again, she's a quick horse who might be better going shorter. So that's not surprising that you would get a horse like that might work well.
The one positive, sorry, Paul, the one positive, depending on post position, etc., I can see her getting a great trip off of Echo Zulu and Yuguri. Is she good enough? Is she classy enough? Did she get the distance? I have a vision that she might have the lead at the top of the stretch. Just get that first run, but then not good enough to hold off the other horses. Paul, go ahead.
Yeah. Again, is she? I think she's definitely going. Is she as fast as Yuguri, a horse like Yuguri early? I certainly hope. If you're playing Kathleen O, you want this horse to break because that's the other speed to go with Yuguri. I will say this about Yuguri, Howard, and I agree with you, but if you go back and watch that race, it looked like she had nothing left in the tank, and she did dig in and win the race. Now, I don't know what she beat. It was only a mile, but
she did.
Yuguri's got some heart, and she gets the lead inside the 16th pole. She might forget to stop. They might have to come get her. I think they're going to get her before that. But if you're playing horses like Kathleen O, Venti Valentine, I think, is an important part of your equation.
Pete, you want to answer that question from Dean, Pete?
Yeah, I saw that. So real quick, Dean, thanks for the question. But I think it depends on the race. But if you look, actually, good job there, Howard. So if you look at Secret Oath, you see the sire and dam AWD 7.7, 7.4. Those are on the higher end, which, again, it's just a predictor potentially of here's what the sires have done. So if you look at those and say a higher number.
Pete, sorry, tell everyone where it says sire stat. They don't see the AWD.
Oh, right there. Yeah,
there's a lot of numbers. People might not be able to see my cursor.
Yeah, right where your cursor is, right there under the Churchill Downs record.
Under their lifetime performances, guys.
Top under the
right.
Lifetime performances.
Let a teacher step in and tell the students where to look on the board.
Good job. Yes. That's why you're the teacher and I'm the one who sits in the back and doesn't pay attention.
Wearing the glasses, by the way. Also.
Of course. Well, that's just old age.
And maybe some other things we won't talk about right now.
So basically, it just shows you the higher the better. And the only thing, it's a little confusing in case anyone on here uses Brisnet. So if you have sort of a young sire who's in their first or second year, their progeny just might not have been in long races yet, so it can be a
Sure.
bit misleading, but it is just a small piece to look at when you're trying to figure
Sure.
out if someone can get the distance.
So I don't want to no shade to the rest of the horse. Well, we're going to talk about Secret Oath. No shade to the horses below that. We will talk about those other horses, guys, but like real brief because we're coming up at about an hour and 20 minutes, and I like to keep these at the very most an hour and a half. Usually I'm not concerned about that, but I also have a voice I need to save for the rest of this week and next week. And frankly, I'm running a bit on fumes because I sort of had a long weekend. All right, Secret Oath. Wow. By Arrogant out of a quiet American mare. I mean, so breeding wonderful. This is a great story, guys. I don't care how Secret Oath does. No one can argue would not be an unbelievable story if the coach at 85 years old, I think, wins 86, excuse me, to the coach, wins the Oaks with Secret Oath, who she was been an absolute beast, and then tried the boys, ran okay. Again, we could talk about the trip. Did regress though in the speed figs. Pete, I'm gonna let you go first. I'm curious to see what odds. I think. Listen, she's got to take money. I think she could be second or third choice. What do you think of Secret Oath?
The one thing I'll mention, because I think you hit it pretty well, is the one thing is I just figure if she ran in the fantasy instead of the Arkansas Derby and beat that field and popped, I have it on here, but I forget what the figure came out for the winner, maybe 91, 92 on Brisnet. If she ran in that race and buried that field and popped, say, a 95, 96, 97 like she has in the past, then I think she's probably the favorite. So I look at it that way and say, was the Arkansas Derby just a tough trip and maybe a bad setup for her? Maybe not the best ride either. So would it have been different if she just stayed with her own fillies and actually ran in a race and won? So I look at it that way. She's not my favorite horse in the race, but obviously she's a win contender and deserves to be one of the top 3 or 4 favorites.
Paul?
Well, I think she's going to be overbet. I think she's had a long 2-year campaign. We know the coach isn't afraid to run them. This will be her 8th start, her 4th start of the year. I think the Arkansas Derby, while I was happy to have Cyberknife and Jim Palazzo, I was very happy that Barbara Road got up for second over this horse. I saw something, I think it was Randy Morse, who pointed out that the final quarter in the Arkansas Derby was 26-3.
Yeah, they were.
And
it was very slow.
That's like a fast crawl, but a crawl nonetheless. And on paper you say, well, this horse ran against the boys. She was 4th, made a big move, got to 2nd. Maybe got a little tired late. That might just be a very weak Derby prep, and it's very likely that horses like Kathleen O and Nest might have been right there in that race. So I would look at my hat would be off to the coach. I think he's great for the game. At 5:15 in the morning, the rest of us are sleeping. He's out the first one out on the track on his horse. I would love it for him. I think the horse is going to be bet. Although Luis Saez versus, no disrespect to Luis Contreras, she's going to get a better ride. But I'm going to be against.
Well, that's what Dean G definitely wants, a different rider. If there was such a thing as a B- in an ABC ticket, that's where I put Secret Oath. I don't know. There's just something about her that I do not like in this spot. I agree with a lot of things. And by the way, we're going to disagree plenty. And if Pete and Paul don't disagree with me or each other, then I'm going to kick them off as co-hosts, because disagreement is what we want, but they don't have to make up disagreement. I'm just kidding, guys. But I don't know. I'm not sure she wants the distance. I know the breeding is amazing. The fact that she couldn't win the Arkansas Derby when she made that monster move, and boy, she flattened out like a pancake. I mean, it's not like the Oaks is going to be a slow pace. I don't know. I think she could be a crack sprinter. She reminds me a little. You know what she reminds me of, guys? She reminds me a little bit of Obligatory. My pal who won the 8 bells last year at 16-1 that I touted on this podcast. I think Secret Oath would be an unbelievable one-turn sprinter. in some of those races in New York that you already mentioned, the Acorn, one of them. I don't know. I don't get the impression she wants a mile and eighth. She's talented. You know, she might be a little bit over raced. I know the coach does well with those, but I don't know. I just have a little bit of a negative vibe, and she's going to take a lot of money. All right, we're going to very quickly, guys, go through the rest of the field. We've actually the most people watching right now that we've had. So let me just again give a quick welcome to everyone who's watching episode 130 of the HHH Racing Podcast with my new co-hosts, Pete Visco and Paul Halloran. We already talked about my trip to Keeneland. We are going through each Kentucky Oaks horse very briefly. And then, ladies and gentlemen, next week we have 4 fantastic days in a row of shows to get ready for the Oaks and the Derby. Goddess of Fire, a Todd Pletcher horse. Pete, go ahead.
Yeah, again, sort of a similar comment as some of the earlier ones. Really good horse. I just don't. It's not a horse that I'm looking out for the win. Kathleen O blew by her like she was standing still and sort of toyed with her last time. And I thought she should have beat Turner Loose 2 back and didn't. She might have a little bit of seconditis, and I don't even think that's going to happen in this one. I think she's probably just a notch below. But again, a really good horse, so it wouldn't shock you if she took that step forward, but it's just not going to be someone that I'm relying on any of my tickets.
Paul, a price on a Todd Pletcher horse in a big grade 1? Some people might be interested in that.
Well, you're going to get the price for sure. I agree. No real excuses. The numbers aren't there. Again, Pletcher winning the Oaks for the 5th time. No one's going to be shocked, but I don't think it's going to be with this one.
I personally, guys, don't like second. I don't care if they're, if Goddess of Fire has faced complete monsters or if she's faced, lesser horses. I just don't like a lot of second place finishes in general for any horse. I'm not a fan. And then in this particular spot, she'll be off my tickets completely. If she clunks up for 3rd and spices up a try, would it shock me? No, just out of respect to Todd Pletcher, but I think she's up against it. Turn her loose. We're gonna let Paul go first here. This is a Brad Cox, and guys, the ascension of Brad Cox. By the way, I don't even think it's talked enough. This guy's one of the premier trainers in the world right now. I mean, he's really more of a dirt trainer, but boy, has he been unbelievable with some great stock from a lot of fantastic ownerships. Turner Loose, owned by Ike and Dawn Thrash, who I believe are mainly California owners, if I remember, Paul. What do you think of this horse?
Relatively slow work. I think it was Sunday, but I'm not Monday rather. I'm not sure. Very rank on the track going into the work. Didn't have a strong gallop out. I agree with you about Brad Cox. I will say that I spent quite a bit of time at his barn last summer at Saratoga. I actually at one point had a very small piece of a horse that was in his barn, but I was more there to see the likes of Essential Quality and Nick Sco. And I will tell you that his attention to detail, as you would not be surprised, is second to none. This horse would be a major surprise. Even looking at the Brisnets, we were talking about horses in the mid to high 90s. This horse, nothing over an 84 thus far. This horse is going to be 50, 60 to 1, I would say.
I'm going to put, by the way, Paul, the main reason I have you as co-host is I'm fully expecting to have Brad Cox on the show because you're going to help us get it. So if that doesn't happen, do you think that could happen? Is that a possibility?
Well, you got 2 jockeys who were in the Breeders' Cup last fall, didn't you? The 2 days
Absolutely
before
did.
the races.
All right, there you go, folks. That is a tacit promise from Paul Halloran that Brad Cox will be on the show over the summer. Pete, Turner Loose just looks too slow.
Yep, nothing else to say. I don't even want to waste the viewers' time. Just nothing for me there.
Yeah, I agree. No disrespect. This horse, Hidden Connection is, Paul, I'll let you go first. We had Raylu on last year on this show. Was very disappointing in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Got a weird, bad start. Just it didn't work out. I don't blame Raylu. This horse is 11th out of 14th in the points. We really probably should not give this horse short shrift because she almost beat Echo Zulu last time.
Yeah, she almost did, and she was 9 to 1, and she's going to be all of that. I think in this field, I think put it this way, I'll definitely be using her all over the board. But I will tell you, Howard, that I will have a hidden connection into Baba Road, all Raylu Oaks Derby double.
Whoa! Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Wait. Hold on a second.
I will be
forget the PPs. Hold on a second. I got what time? This is at 1:32 of the show. Paul, can you repeat what you just said, please?
I will, just because I love them, I will have a hidden connection into Baba Road, Oaks Derby double. And frankly, if I hit it, how we'll be making a more significant donation. Very unlikely, though.
Paul, all seriousness, what do you think that $2 double will pay? Just ballpark figure.
I would say about $800, $1,000.
What? So you're gonna get? What are the odds? It's gonna be what? 10-1 to 28-1. I don't know. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, Baba Road is going to be. I think the win odds are going to be fairly high. I think a lot of people are going to use him on the board just because of his running style. Again, It's a Raylu pick. This horse, though, I love it. Tell you something. This horse is a solid B for me in the race. Again, I'm not that objective. I've kind of followed Raylu. I wrote about him when he got his first mount in the Belmont Stakes. He was great to come on your show, Howard.
Yes,
he's
was.
A great kid. He's great.
Our show, guys. Our show now.
Well, Pete, it's setting
it wasn't then.
Viewership, Pete. So I'm sure the royalty checks are going to be monumental. Again, this horse, I would say, if everything went right, and in the Breeders' Cup, as you pointed out, Howard, everything pretty much went wrong, and the horse was really bet too, 3-1. He's going to be maybe 8, 9, 10-1 here. And if she wins, I somehow have to cash something. Put it that way.
Pete, your feelings on Hidden Connection?
Well, you said you wanted us to disagree. I'm going the opposite way. I mean, again, I think this is a good horse. After Raylu was on with us last time for the Breeders' Cup, I had her then, so that was a little bit disappointing. But I'm not enamored with this horse. It would be sort of a C potentially if we were doing an ABC breakdown, but hasn't popped like that one nice win with a nice figure. And I feel like, again, I question whether you're going to do that in the toughest race that she's probably ever going to have in her life. Are you going to do that enough to win the race? Now, again, hit the board. These horses are all so talented. They could all hit the board, but on top, I would say no. I'll be rooting for Paul's double unless he gives me a little, kick of that, but then I'll be rooting for Paul's double if she does win. But otherwise, she's just not on the top line for me.
First of all, let me just say I love the connections. Jake Ballas, these are great guys. I almost invested in their partnership of black type thoroughbreds. I love the connections. No pun intended. That last race, it sticks in my craw. I loved her at that spot. I thought that was the time to beat Echo Zulu. She still couldn't go by Echo Zulu when Echo Zulu ran her, C+ race. If at all, it's a C. It's probably a toss for me. I wish the connections well. No disrespect, guys. I just don't see it. I don't see it with this horse at all. Last 3 horses. Again, it's only a 14-horse field. Cocktail Moments, from what I heard this morning from, I think it was from on the Steve Bick Show, I believe, was speaking with, I think, Mike Welsh, and I apologize if I'm wrong on that, that this horse had a little more of a turf kind of action. A nice closer, only 4 lifetime starts. Nick Peak. Pete, any quick thoughts here?
No, I thought just real quick to look at Ralph's comment there. Have to change the name of the show to HPP now. Thanks, Ralph. That's a good call there. We'll see how the first weekend goes, and if we get any winners, maybe yes. But we might be kicked off after our performance today and next week. So
no.
But cocktail.
But I do have some people waiting in the wings just in case.
Yes,
I got people in the bullpen, guys, just in case. I think you might know who they might be. Anyway, go ahead. Go ahead, Pete.
I've been known to get shelled in the first inning a time or two, so that wouldn't be surprising. So Cocktail Moments, the only note I had for today was I said can hit the board. So I thought this was one that I would definitely I wouldn't use her in my horizontals, but in verticals underneath, 3rd or 4th if I'm doing a try or super. For sure. I think I just put her in there. I don't love her one way or the other. I just have a funny feeling she could clunk up if some things get wild.
Paul?
And that's, I think, exactly I think that's exactly what she did in the Ashland. That race might look a little better on paper. 6th to 2nd. I had a comment after watching it. She was just clearly the best of the rest. Nest was by far the best, and she was 8.5 legs off or whatever. Didn't work great whenever she worked over the last few days. But again, for vertical players, I think it is a pretty good include because I think you're going to get a squared number on her.
I don't want to throw shade to Candy Raid. This Keith DeSormo has got 10 lifetime starts.
Go ahead, Howard. Please do.
This horse has absolutely zero chance to win this race. I don't care that she popped a 93. It was on the Sin. The race completely fell apart. I like Keith DeSormo. This horse has no chance. She's a closer. Do you guys want to add anything, or should we just move on to the last horse?
Nope, toss her.
All right.
Sorry, Candy. Here's the winner for everyone in the chat. But Candy Raid is obviously the winner.
I will vote. I will say she'll be long shot on the board. How's that? Anyone want to put a bet on that one? Long shot on the board.
She was 90. She was 98-1 2 races ago, Howard. At a grade 2. So
wait, and 98-1 about 5 starts back. That's why I get the big. That's why I'm getting the viewership, Paul. I'm pointing out. I don't point out the obvious. Okay. All right. Let's talk for 2 minutes. This is a very fascinating horse. This horse, Shahama, guys, has got a little bit of that Crown Pride kind of feel to it. Paul, I'll let you go first for our last horse, an undefeated Todd Pletcher horse, sired by Munnings, who's been racing in Dubai.
Howard, I am a longtime sucker for these 3-year-olds coming out of Dubai. Okay. I had Thunder Snow, the hobby horse race. You remember the Thunder Snow? Looked like when you go to the supermarket with your kid and put the quarter in and up and down. I had Mendelssohn. This horse had a pretty good work, a good gallop out. It is Pletcher. The horse, it's a horse that's run exclusively in Dubai, but bred in Kentucky. The only problem is this. Pat Cummings, who is a pretty good expert on Dubai racing, pointed out the other day on a podcast that the horses this horse has beaten have come back to be 0 for 26 in their subsequent races.
I heard that.
So,
too.
She apparently has not been beating the iron over there. But again, I'm a sucker for these Dubai. I will not be a sucker for Crown Pride. We'll talk about him on another day. But this horse has Paul Halloran sucker written all over her. I'll be using her.
Pete?
Paul, me and you, baby. She's an A for me. She's on my top. Just to take the shot.
So, Big 5 again. Pete and I
love it. We're one. Well, actually,
Howard.
It's funny. Me and Paul 1 for 1. Me and Howard 1 for 1. So I think we should just stop while we're ahead. But
I gotta listen. We're on to an hour 40 here. We still have a lot of people watching the show. You've got to explain yourself, Mr. Visco. You've got Shahama as an A. Wow.
Well, and here's the thing. It's a soft A only because I watched all 4 races actually this morning. I had seen the last one live, but I wanted to watch them all again. And this horse again, it could be beating donkeys over there because none of the like you guys said, the stat coming back wasn't very positive, but I just like the way this horse runs, toys with the field, came from behind, had sort of mid-pack runs, looked like it was sort of versatile, was able to do a couple different things. And then just when it hit the lane, just kicked away. And none of these races were close. I mean, even the 2 and the 3 and the 2.5, they weren't really close. So I'm looking at it going, now it's in Pletcher's hands. Pletcher knows what he's doing. There's a $425,000 horse. The one thing I did like, I'm not a huge workout guy. There's certain scenarios when I like a workout, and this horse came over, so you don't know how they're going to do here. And this horse worked against Goddess of Fire this week, and just based on what I read, I don't think I saw a clip of it. Based on what I read, completely outworked Goddess of Fire. Now, I don't have Goddess of Fire as a potential winner of this race, but it's a good horse who's run against good horses. And I just like the fact that she came over and was able to take to the track, be competitive with a horse who's been running in graded stakes races here. So, hey, Janet, I like that. Look at Janet, future bet on her. That's impressive. I'm with you, Janet. Let's make some money.
She did, Pete, have a really strong gallop out in that work, and a lot of people say the gallop out's overrated. Again, I'm not a Mike Welch or a Bruno DiGiulio. I just kind of go by what I can see, what the riders' hands are doing, are they being asked, and really what they do after the wire. And she did gallop out pretty good. This is just costing me more money now that Pete likes her. I'm going to get suckered even more on this one. Pete, you're
Ralph. Let me address Ralph's question. The answer, Ralph, is I have no freaking clue, because he doesn't get foreign shippers because most foreign shippers are turf horses, and that doesn't happen for him often. And
hey,
this
Howard.
Is dirt. You got it?
In the
Do you have the stat?
in the PPs, I don't know if you want to bring him. There's
he
only has 7. He only has 7 shippers to the U.S. here, and I don't know if they're first time ship. I assume they are. It must be first timers. Only 14%, 43 hit the money, but it's a very super small sample size, like you said. Sorry to interrupt, but it's not something that he does. Yeah, because they're not. Generally they're turf horses coming over, so they don't go to him.
Yeah, I mean, this horse would be a C at best. I mean, there's only so many you can use. I'd have to see some ridiculously good work, and I want to push back. By the way, I know this horse didn't beat donkeys. Maybe camels though, guys.
Yeah,
camels,
maybe.
possibility.
Arabian.
Listen,
it could have been Arabians.
Before you come back on the show, work on your geography. Guys, I'm all out of sorts. I don't know what's going on with me. It's been a long few days. Anyway, yeah, I don't know who she beat at all. But she's 4 for 4. Guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up the show. I'm gonna leave you guys on, of course, because you're my co-host. We're gonna be Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna be talking about the Santa Anita late pick 5. It's a fantastic card. By the way, a lot of people have been ripping on the West Coast, situation just with the especially Santa Anita because they don't have big field sizes. I'm not immune to that. I don't like betting small fields. The podcast pool bet is back this Saturday. It's going to depend. It's either going to be Churchill, which by the way opened Saturday. It's either going to be Churchill or Santa Anita. Even though there's 4 grade stake races in Santa Anita, I refuse to bet podcast pool pick 5 if the field sizes are 5, 6, 7. I just can't do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have no idea if you're part of the podcast pool what bet we're making this Saturday. I need to see the races, but no matter what, we are going to talk about the late pick 5 on for Saturday's Santa Anita races because there are 4 grade stake races. And guys, I'd say kudos to the racing secretary who found a really good weekend to put 4 grade stake races the day before the Derby. Paul, I know you know a lot of racetrack executives. That was a very smart move by Santa Anita.
Yeah, and kudos to Churchill. Their Saturday night card, they're opening at night on Saturday. They'll have a huge crowd. And,
it's 5, right? Like late afternoon, like late, early, like 5:30, like a weird time.
5 your time, 6 for regular people.
Okay.
Howard, 5, I think, your time.
Wow.
But I know I have a family wedding to go to, and that'll give me good reason to get home to bet the Churchill. So.
There you go. Pete, any final thoughts about the Oaks that we talked about tonight? Anything that you glean from our conversations or anything you're just looking forward to in general in this race before we talk about it in great detail in replays and whatnot next week?
No, just pumped about it. By the way, thumbs up, Ralph, to the Italian crew. Saw the comment there.
I'm exactly half.
Half, beautiful. So the good half, the good half.
I'm 0.
Well, the good 0.
But I did have great Italian meal at Keeneland. Giuseppe's, check it out. I've been there 3 times. The best Italian restaurant in Keeneland.
So you're de facto Italian
in
now.
Lexington.
Okay.
In Lexington.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm just pumped about the race. The only funny thing I'll leave my last comment would be So I'm actually going to miss the Oaks live for any, I don't know if any Marvel fans are in the chat, but the Doctor Strange movie comes out and I promised my son we would go Friday night. So got to take care of my little guy first. And so I'll be missing the Oaks. So I won't be checking my phone. So hopefully the tickets will when I get to my account, it'll just have bundles of money in it. And I won't know why yet.
Terrific. Listen, Pete Visco, Paul Halloran, thank you very much for being co-host on this show. We had great start tonight. We flew out of the blocks, we flew out of the starting gate. We've already got the lead. Really appreciate you guys coming on tonight. You'll both be on, of course, Thursday, and we have no special guest Thursday. ladies and gentlemen. We're just going to be jumping right into the handicapping. It'll be a much shorter show on Thursday, but it'll be very well informed. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Howard Kravitz for Pete Visco and Paul Halloran. It's been episode 130 of the HHH Racing Podcast. Thank you very much for watching. Please make sure you subscribe on the bottom right-hand side of the screen there. Tell all your friends, co-workers, family members to subscribe to the HHH Racing Podcast. And we will see you this Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, to cover the Santa Anita Late Pick 5 and stake races on Saturday. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.